I'll say again?
Are you ready to start?
Yep, go ahead. Start at the stern and work to the bow.
Copy all.
And let me know if you're going to need some assistance from the 301. Very good. Hello and welcome. My name is Tim and this is TimBatSea. And it's a cold and chilly. I got the heat cranked up in here, but it's a very, very cold end of January, getting ready for a big nor'easter. They're predicting 18 inches to 2 feet of snow, different parts of the coast. Okay. All right, this guy wants me to go and move him in a little bit. He's having trouble. Anyway, so we have a couple things that are going on right now. We need to take this barge from Port Newark, which is just on the other side of the channel from Port Elizabeth, and bring it over to our lay berth over at Henry Street in Gowanus. And that's what we have to do today. You guys have seen this a bunch of times. I haven't done it for a little while. I've switched my cameras around so the one with a bigger battery can go longer up front, so if it dies you get to see less of me and more of what you want to see. So hopefully that will all be good for you guys. I've checked in with traffic. Now I just need to make a security call.
Are you ready for the last line?
Yep, take into the last line.
Copy.
So now I make a security call. Security call, Tug Elk River. Signaling up lines, getting underway over at berth 51. Light barge and push gear will be turned around outbound, bound for Gowanus, Tug Elk River. All right, that's done. And now, these barges, and especially because it's light, these usually walk pretty well. So I'm going to set this up for a walk and put about 20 degrees of right rudder on here. And remember, walking is where you go sideways. And a lot of people, a very common question in the comments is, do we have bow thrusters? And the answer is no. In fact, I don't.
We're all free.
Okay, here we go. So I'm going to try to walk off. Let me know if we go up against anything and make sure I don't hit anything up in front of us.
Okay, you got about 35 on the bow.
Okay, here we go. Okay, so walking uses 2 engines and a little bit of geometry to get a lot of horsepower to put a little bit of sideways movement on it. And the way we do that is that I was doing that with 25.
You got about 10 feet starboard side.
All right, very good. So I've reduced it down to about 10 degrees of right rudder, and I'm coming ahead on the starboard side and back, and so it's the opposite of a twist. 30 and opening, good job. Okay, so now what I'm doing is the bow is coming out faster than the stern is, which is good because I want to rotate counterclockwise anyway.
You got 40 ahead.
So as I get off and everything gets, as I get off of the other barge that I was tied up to, I can roll the rudder to almost 0 degrees or even over a port degree, on the port side, and that will make my spin to counterclockwise a little faster. The only problem is that I'm going to smack my stern. Very good. So because of that, and I've got good movement on the bow, I'm going to put the rudder hard over to the starboard. What that's going to do is that's going to put more water back there, pushing the stern out. Now we've got momentum in the bow moving over, so hopefully this will gain me some room on the stern, meaning pushing away from everything on my port side. So that's the task at hand. All right, Hope, good job out there. You can tell the tankerman we'll call it 0900 underway.
Copy, 0900 underway.
And if you hear a new voice, that's something I'm really excited about. Hopefully it'll work well. If it doesn't, it's going to be a disaster. But one of my longtime friends, a guy that I've known for 35 years or whatever, ever since I moved to Rhode Island. He and I have been buddies, and he had kids about the same. He had kids right before I had my kids, and so his daughter is just a little bit older than my daughter, and the two of them grew up together and were very good friends. And his daughter went to maritime school and decided that she wanted to be a marine engineer. So she has graduated, and she spent a year over in the Persian Gulf working for MSC. And there's, just so you guys know, you might see containers or container ships or now even cruise lines that say MSC on them. There's two companies that say MSC on it. One is the one that does cargo for the masses. Just check my stern here. All right, I want to start making a little bit of headway, so I'm going to slow down on the stern. The one that the civilian one is MSC, and that's Mediterranean Shipping Company. But there's also another one, MSC, that a lot of cadets go to work for when they first get out of school, and that's MSC, which is Military Sea Lift Command. And it's actually a civilian branch, not all civilian, but many of the people that run the boats are civilians, the deck crew and the engineering department and that sort of stuff. But they're the ships that the Navy has all ready to go that will support the fleet. So in other words, when we send tanks and aircraft and munitions and people overseas, they have to get over there. And MSC, somebody explained this to me, that the origin of MSC came when as our merchant fleet became smaller and smaller because of the dollar being stronger and stronger, many shipping companies would hire foreign nationals that would work for less money. And I don't necessarily know that there's anything wrong with that. That's just the way that goes. I mean, who am I to comment on that? That's all fine and dandy until there's a war. And then if there's a war and it turns out that you might go to war with somebody that doesn't want you to go to war, and they're the people that have to move all your stuff to wage war, then it starts to get really sticky. So MSC, or Military Sea Lift Command, came into be, and that's where they have they can start moving a lot of that stuff around. So anyway, Hope graduated and worked in a year in the Persian Gulf. I say the Persian Gulf. She worked out there somewhere, I don't know, somewhere way far away for a year as a third engineer. Then she just completed working in the Gulf of Mexico for another company, but she really wants to work on tugs because she knows, as probably most of you do, that the coolest people and the coolest jobs are on tugboats. Anyway, so she came over and she has been hired at this company, and because she doesn't have any tugboat experience, even though she has a huge license, my engineer is going through all of the different procedures that we have that are a little different. Obviously, we're not a ship, and most of her training is about ships. So she's learning how to do that, and because the engineers will do something and then they'll stop, and then they'll do something and they'll stop, I've had her utilizing that in-between time for when we sail and dock a barge. A lot of our engineers over here have worked their way from the deck up through, and they'll never get a license the size of hers, or I shouldn't say never, but most of them will go up to something called a DDE 4000, which is a designated duty engineer, instead of having a third engineers unlimited like she has, and she can go all the way up to chief engineer, as she gets sea time and tests for more stuff and that sort of thing. But anyway, those people that have started at the bottom start, and they know how the deck works. They know how this goes. And if you notice a lot of my videos, one of the things, there are many things that I really am proud of my chief Danny about. One of the things that he's really phenomenal about is that when we're making tow or breaking tow or any of the operations that we do, even though he doesn't need to, and he's really being paid to work in the engine room, he's out there on deck, and he is we don't have the position on the boat, but I refer to him as my safety officer. He's out there just like this, looking and barking out orders. If he sees somebody is doing something unsafe, he's an extra set of eyes for me to ensure that we don't have any problems on the tug, in the workplace. Anyway, that's all fine and dandy, but he's drawing from his experience of years working on deck before he got in the engine room. So that means that he needs to teach, or I should say, Hope needs to learn some of the skills. Unfortunately, we're trying to give Hope a very speedy thing where she can go out and learn the deck and how things are done and the safe way to do things in a very compressed amount of time, where she doesn't have the 3 or 4 years that a lot of people do. But anyway, so that's why you hear her on the radio. She's been working. First she observed with me, and then she observed with our AB, Dalton. And now Dalton, I guess, is handing over the radio to her, where, a lot of things you can see, or you can read a book or watch a video or whatever it is, but you don't really start to become proficient at something until you do it yourself. And so today's the day that she's calling distances off and throwing lines and working out there, and Dalton's right behind her to make sure that she's doesn't do anything that she shouldn't. So it's a proud day for me. It's proud that my friend's daughter and my daughter's friend has got a job, and that she was able to start her first week with us on this hitch. She probably, because of the scope of her license, will probably end up on a much bigger boat doing something else, but she has high hopes that she'll find a home on a tugboat here in New York, so that she won't be too far away from her home. So anyway, that's exciting, and it makes me proud that my guys are embracing taking on Hope as an engineer, and it's a different world. Many things have changed since I was a deckhand, and most of them have all been positive. Not all of them have, but most of them have. I really need to check in with traffic when I get turned around here, so I should stop my little rant here. Traffic from the Elk River. Not a rant, that was last week.
River vessel traffic, what is there?
Good morning. Hey, we are Oscar Mike.
River vessel traffic, Roger. We're traffic. Nearby traffic got reported for today. And the kills for being traffic at Margin K as Tier 8. And there's always bound forward. Near Anchorage, Precious Tip Anchorage. And a bird look on this go out far. And that's all we must.
Very good, thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
All right. So anyway, many things have changed since I was a deckhand, and one of the things that it's been a much nicer work environment about, is that back in the day, everyone used to smoke on tugboats, and tugboats, if you were a smoker, was a wonderful place to be. And there still are boats that are what we call smoking boats, and there are non-smoking boats, and you see less and less boats being yellowed with nicotines on the side of the walls. That was a common thing years ago. So that's one thing that I think, for me, not being a smoker, that has been a wonderful advantage. Another thing that has changed is that you saw very few women in this industry, and they're more and more coming in. And with anything new, it's human nature for us to resist change anything, but with anything new, there are bumps and things that have to be worked out, and that's happening. But it's working well. I haven't seen everything, of course, but it seems to me that there are very few stories of women in this industry not working out because of the wrong reasons. There are stories of women that don't work out because of what I say, the right reasons, which means the same reasons why they wouldn't work out for a man. But for a woman being a woman, most of them that take well to the job do really well, and I'm proud of my fellow mariners. Of course, we've been indoctrinated by HR, human resources, for a long time, and we have different training that we have to do to make sure that we're the good, respectable people that we all want to be. And it's worked well, or at least it has with my crew anyway. And hopefully, for the end of the hitch here, maybe we can even get Hope to get on camera with me and talk about her experience. That'd be a fun video. And she's really fun anyway. But anyway, my guys are great. I'm really happy. They've all taken her under the wing and they're showing her everything, and it makes me really, really proud. And that's that. Okay, so I've been running. If you notice, I'm running rather slow. I mean, I'm doing let's do a 6.8, so that's not real slow compared to like the 7 or 8 knots that I'm going to do when I'm hooked up. But I don't want to do anything because they have 3 tugs pushing on this ultra large container vessel over here. So if I don't want to go and roll a big weight onto them as I come by. So I'm going slow. Now once I get by them, almost by them now, then I'll start putting the power to her and cranking her up a little bit. Alright, here we go. Some guy over there waving to me. Another thing that has changed since I've come on tugboats, and I don't know this for fact, this is just something, this is what I'm thinking has been. So if you're a merchant mariner, and I'm sure that many of you guys in the recreational world have diesels too, the difference is that you're probably not burning hundreds of thousands of gallons of diesel, you know, every year. You might fill up your tank every once in a while with 50 gallons or so. So one thing that I've noticed is that when I came on, you know, when I first started decking, all the boats had a really heavy, oily smell. I don't know if oily is right. Fuel smell, I should say. Now, there still is a smell. And I've talked in other videos about how my ex-wife used to say that she'd want my sea bag to be put out in the foyer because it would have a smell to it, like she'd call it the boat smell. And what's changed for me is that it does. Before it was unrecognizable. I mean, it was completely recognizable as fuel. Now there's a much less of a smell, and what I think it is that before we were using regular diesel fuel, which was heavily laden with sulfur, and I think I got this right. I think that oil companies didn't inject sulfur into the diesel. Sulfur was in there as part of the diesel product. And because of the qualities of sulfur, I think the sulfur in there was a better lubricant for things. Well, anyway, they started making this low sulfur diesel and then ultra low sulfur diesel. And now I think marine diesel, this ultra low sulfur is like, I think it's 5 parts per million now. So there's almost hardly any trace of sulfur in it anymore. And I think, well, like I say, I don't have any science to back up my theory here, but I think what the deal is that since the industry has changed, and remember that just because we change overnight, the problem doesn't go away. This has to be years of running this stuff through the systems and cleaning out the smells of a boat. But it seems like all the boats don't have that diesel smell to them anymore. They do have a funky smell. I used to think it was the stuff that we used on the floors to wash the floors. Not quite like Fabulosa or whatever that stuff is that has that funny smell. No, it's there's a funny smell that you smell when you first walk onto the tug, and you never smell it again for 2 weeks until you come back after you've been home for 2 weeks, meaning that you instantly get used to it. So that's another thing that I think has changed over time. So if you didn't want to just see what's going on out here, you can listen to my stupid things I have to say. So this is all Port Elizabeth on the right-hand side, and it has been ever since we got underway and turned around. Port Newark was on the left-hand side. When we come out the Port Elizabeth Channel, the Port Elizabeth Channel splits Port Elizabeth and Port Newark, and we're off and running.
Emily, we're all looking good to get underway here.
So now I need to balance my engines out. They're not balanced them on sync.
Inbound, Craven Shoal, inbound through the kills report. Final 8, we got all our boats here. We went to get the way outside. We snapped in tanker. Are you coming here, 68, right? Hey, you getting stepped on there. Who's at the tanker at 19? You ready to go? No, this is. We're up in your berth, 68. You coming here, right? Okay, sounds good. You're getting ready to go.
Just listening to the traffic here. All right. So, if you get bored listening to me, you can turn the volume down here. So yeah, I have something to talk to you guys about. It's a part of the job that most of us like least, and we rarely talk about it. And that is a master's. They call it, the captain is considered a master in the Coast Guard. So it's the master's decision to sail or go weatherbound, and when the weather goes out the window. So there's a constant struggle, and we have to weigh it out, and it ultimately comes down to the captain. Everyone says, hey, if it's too rough, who makes the call? Well, at the end of the day, the captain makes the call. But it's not that easy. Everyone says, oh, well, if it's rough, you don't go, and if it's not rough. The problem is, it's rarely so bad that you can't go. It's just bad enough that it's going to be bad, you might tear up some equipment and things can go wrong, but you can get the job done. And it's really uncomfortable, and you don't know if you should really, if the customer needs it right then. Maybe the customer's screaming for it, and they scream at the dispatchers, and the dispatchers really want you to go. And so there's a battle between this. There was a ship, one of the industry's latest really bad sinkings was the El Faro that used to go from Florida over to Puerto Rico. And it broke up in a hurricane and sunk and lost all hands on board. And there have been, I don't know that it was officially stated, but there was a lot of talk throughout the industry. And once again, I say, don't take my word for this. This is just gossip at this point. But what we might call dock talk, or what people say that are in the industry, the people that knew people there, apparently, and this also comes from reading the different reports and what's been written in the trade magazines and that sort of stuff. But in that particular case, there's a big school of thought that the master was pressured to get underway when he really didn't want to. It's almost moot to argue that point now because they're all dead. So, whether it could have happened or whether they should have gone or they shouldn't have gone, it doesn't matter. They went and they died, and that's a tragedy, and it sucks. It sucks all the way around. So, in my case, we're not looking at a hurricane, but I can share this little bit of knowledge. By the time you see this, this will have already happened. So, and I trust that I've made it through okay. But we are a couple days away from a major nor'easter that's coming. And I said earlier, it's supposed to put 2 feet of snow on some places in the coast. It's supposed to be down to 10 to 18 degrees, depending where you're going. And the wind's supposed to be howling. So all those things make for a good time to stay in the harbor and tied up where you're at. But the customer needs product. Some of those products are home heating oil. So as the temperature goes, the need for people to stay warm is greater. there's gasoline and diesel and there's all that stuff, and people, the industry needs to keep rolling. So there'll be pressure on me to get underway. So I just kind of wanted to walk you through my process so you understand how I feel about this, and and let you know how it's playing out. I think that, like I say, before I even get a chance to upload this video, everything will be all done. So I'm sure that if I look into the future, everything's going to be fine. But here's the thing: the way I'm looking at the NOAA forecast right now, which I also check, the first thing I go to is NOAA, and that's because I've been using them for the last 25, almost 30 years now of using NOAA. I'm used to the way they're formatted and stuff. But being a new recreational sailor, I've really started to grow fond of predict wind and windy. And those two are a little different, and the little differences between them are things that I kind of enjoy, because one might pick up on one thing where one might also not be so strong in another area. Anyway, everybody at this moment right now is thinking, it's Thursday morning right now, and all the models suggest that if I have to go up Long Island Sound to Port Jeff and on Long Island, and everything suggests that if I get there before midnight, it'll be a little bumpy, but I should be able to get there and get into Port Jeff as long as I get there before midnight on Friday, and then everything goes out the window and it gets really nasty. And it stays nasty almost until Sunday night or Monday morning. So, and when I say nasty, it's not like blowing a million miles an hour or anything like that. Port Jeff has a very tight channel. And if you notice, we push and push gear a lot. Now we can tow, and my crew and I can tow, and the crew on the barge can tow. But we're not the people that tow every day. Like when I was running up and down the coast, I was on a 4200, and all we did was tow all the time. You didn't have to tell anyone anything. Everyone knew their job. They could do it blindfolded. That's not the case right now. So I'm a little concerned that I will be in conditions that are going to be much more than the push gear can handle, and we'll have to tow. And this is after we go to leave. So they're predicting that it's going to be blowing 25, gusting to 35, and but it's going to be coming out of the north. And that means that's going to be blowing right into the channel. The channel in Port Jeff is very, very small. And towing, you would not be able to push out of Port Jeff and then get out of push gear and get on the wire outside, because all of the seas from the Connecticut shoreline all the way across Long Island Sound will have built up. And I imagine it's when they get there, the fetch is going to be fetching up against the breakwater, and things are going to be really nasty right as soon as you come out. So the only way that you could come out in those conditions is to tow out. And that's something that I'm not really comfortable doing, because we don't do it on this boat all the time. My crew doesn't do it, and the crew on the barge doesn't do it all the time. So those are all things that say to me, yeah, if I go there, I'm probably going to stay there for a long time. You know, a long time is a few watches. So if we got there on Friday night and they got everything pumped by Saturday morning, I don't see us leaving until Sunday night or even Monday morning. Because even when the wind stops, you've got all that energy built up in the sound. You have to give it a few hours to settle down. And that's if you just flicked off the wind like a light switch. So, fortunately, working for an awesome company and working for a great port captain, I called my port captain this morning, explained everything to me, and he gave me the answer that I was really hoping he would. And he goes, Tim, if you don't think you want to go, or if you don't want to, I have no problem with you staying. He says, you just have to let dispatch know so that they can schedule around that. So I called dispatch, prepared to fight with them to say, look, if you send me out of town, you're going to lose me in the harbor until probably Monday afternoon or Monday night. Because if I sail on Sunday night or Monday morning, it will take me a while to get back to the city. So the good news is that they, when I called dispatch, as soon as I started talking, they said, "Oh no, we've been looking at the weather. We know the deal. We don't want to lose you in the harbor. We're not sure what's going to happen, but it's possible that you might go and you might just hang and watch the snow fall when you get up to Port Jeff." So, as I started saying, it's a real hard thing. As the master of the boat, we know that we're not just here for fun. We make a paycheck, and the paycheck is driven by the product that we move. You don't move product, the company doesn't make money, and they can't give you a paycheck. We're not here to hang out and make videos. We're here to move product. So every time you say no, you're not really doing what you're being paid to do. And I think that most of us in this position want to say yes. We don't want to put anybody in peril. But the whole thing about putting people in peril or putting lives in danger or equipment breaking, those are things you hear after things have happened. It's rare that we hear that before. So in this case, you know, I guess what I'm trying to say is that if you were super careful all the time and said no to everything, nothing would move. I guarantee you, there are reasons we can make an argument, regardless of the weather, and regardless of, we can always find a reason not to sail. But if you don't sail and you don't move the product, you're not doing your job. So we have to balance that, and it's really ultimately up to the master whether you sail or you don't. And if you're the guy that doesn't sail all the time, you might not be the guy that is around the next time there are layoffs. I don't know. You know, who knows? Like I say, this company is very good because they're very safety oriented, and because of that, as long as we voice our concerns and we talk about this stuff, we come up with a plan. Having said that, it doesn't set well with me, meaning that so much of this job is you really have to, you know, it would be nice if it was a black and white world, and if the seas were going to be 10 feet in Long Island Sound, nobody would question me. But the seas aren't going to be 10 feet. It is something that could be done if we get in push gear. But I don't really want to do that. And it's not because, not push gear, if we get on the wire. But I don't really want to do that. And that's not because I don't want to tow. It's just because this is not the time or the boat or the crew to tow in these conditions. So it made me very happy when I worked this problem out with my port captain, and he told me that I should call dispatch, and that he made me feel like he was going to support me no matter what decision I made. And those are all reasons why I love this company and I love working here. So that's cool. So yeah, that's that. All right, so we've come around Bergen Point. We are now eastbound in the Kills, coming up to the Bayonne Bridge. And in an effort to save batteries, I think I'm going to shut the aft camera off and the camera behind me off, because a lot of you guys want to see the whole trip. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to try something different. Some people love a long video. A lot of you guys seem to love the long video. Other people don't. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shut these two cameras off, keep the camera looking ahead on. That one has the biggest battery. And then I will write in this, there should be some subtitles. I'll say, fast forward to this number, and then you can see us doing our docking when we get to the other side, all right? So let's try that. All right, here we go. See this ship blocking the channel up here? He's getting turned around and heading outbound for sea. So I'm going to catch up with him.
Outbound tow in the Conic range. Sir, the seat center is up there. You're bound for, sir? Hey, what's the roof? Hey, this is the inbound container ship. We're moving right along here, trying to get into Kills. If you want to go up to the north immediately, we'll take you stern. Sir, don't do that.
So you can see that ship is 3/4 of its way around his turn. Once he gets straight, it'll still take him a little while to get some way on, so I've reduced speed so that I don't get too close to him. There's another container ship that is making security calls that he's going to be coming our way. I shouldn't say another ship. It'll be a container ship versus this is a tanker over here. And so we'll get over on one side and be out of that big guy's way that be coming our way. Kimberly Terracamo from the Elk River. Kimberly Terracamo, Elk River.
Traffic very olive. Yeah, we're departing St. George, headed to Sable Industrial. Roger. No opposing captain. Copy, thanks.
Ball, variable, Hollis, St. George, and Stapleton Anchorage, Industrial.
Nothing traffic. Jersey. Yeah, 14 Louis Brown Bay. Down the hill, up the narrow hill, final base. No opposing right now, Captain Mountain Square.
Alright, Woody traffic, check side the bench, thank you.
JR on the traffic, Roger. How far are you going up there, Captain?
59th Street, North River, sanitation up.
Roger, Captain. You did.
Elk River. One agreed.
Traffic, the Monte, the Lake River, and check out here. We did. Good.
Hey, Carl. Come on. I'll come here next year. Come on.
Ever laden from the Elk River.
This is the Evergreen, Everlake, back to the Elk River, guys.
Good morning, Cap. I'm tucked in right behind the outbound ship here. Hope to see you on one if you're okay with that.
If you can keep her deep in
course, the quality about we're headed for. Coconut Sound, of course. Colonel Freight. I'll put on the call. Critical market, Port in St. George, northbound market. Carry ferry, U.S. Sparta Battery 61 Newark. We'll be backing out, turning around, and heading out to Bourbon Point. The Marjorie K. Olin. The Marjorie K. What spot you guys going to? We want to stay out of your way. Sorry, what, Captain? Fine where you are. I understand that, but I want to get underway. You going to the lower end? I'm sorry, I can't read you, Captain. What's that again? What spot are you going to the anchorage? Romeo 5. All right, thanks. Security, Andrea dropping on, center on board, the top round bound for the stable and anchored ship side. Andrea. course, the parking on the island with the Whitehall course.
Pearl Coast, southbound Fair News.
That's the Pearl Coast, come on, Cap.
Hey, good morning, Cap. 2 whistles alright with you? I'll go wide, give you some room.
On the 33, yeah.
Hey, you wanna pass around my bob, Cap, come on?
Yeah, unless
Yeah,
you're
we
going
are.
straight,
Looks like
I'll
we're
take
going to be sailing here in about
I'm
15
going straight
minutes.
across, I'm going to the...
Hey, Roy, and we're going to go to Pier 8. And they made up till Sunday night at midnight. They said, they're going to stay here with you and not with you. Was going to stay, but it got locked down today, and we have to do that. Stop, man! You just got it here. Leroy, Barry, let's get to work.
That's the Pearl, go ahead, Sean.
Yeah, I'm gonna be inbound the kills here. I'll see you on 2.
I got the 2. Hey, you have a good morning. The Tokyo Triumph, this is the Everlane. Southbound Super in Newark, Bay. Hey, Tokyo Triumph. You can bring her down anytime. She's behaving good here, so we'll meet you on the 1.
Fine, Doug, won't agree. Thank you very much.
Here goes, Sean's off to 28, Louis, gonna be inbound the kills for Mariners already said. The deck barge in close, Sean.
Lincoln Highway. Yeah, I was just, again, we're gonna have to wait until I get clearance.
Okay, whenever you guys are ready, so start work your way forward. Save that spring line for last, or whatever's the easiest for last, put it that way.
Under traffic. Currently, the Tokyo Triumph super large ultra container vessel in Newark Bay. They're at Japan, going to head outbound for steam. And the merch line is January from 61, also outbound for sea, standing by channel 14. Next call at Jordan Point Campus.
Traffic is very bad line, man. Yeah, switch over to 1 2 and get Bruce.
Pretty close, get right on.
Yeah, we're ready. Get you guys all take off.
Okay, Dalton Hope, we're getting close.
You're gonna stay right along the red side, or what do you got in mind?
Come on, buddy.
Okay, so we're just entering Gowanus Bay right here. And it looks like our lake so it's a little difficult sometimes, and the bollards are way in, so we might get to the dock, put somebody down on the dock, and they might run lines for us. That's what we probably going to end up doing. Those of you that stayed in for the whole thing, right? An hour and 20-something minutes. Oh my god! I thought I was the only one that had to sit through this. Thank you for coming along. I really appreciate it. And those of you that fast forward, welcome. So I can turn 13 down a little bit just because we're in Gowanus, so we're going to have less traffic in here that will be calling me. But I'm getting to the point where it's about time to start slowing things down. So you can see that old ship that's tied up to the other side of the dock that we're going to. Try to head off the comments that I see coming. Everyone always asks if that's an old military ship. No, I don't believe it is. I think it's just an old tramp steamer there, and it's been converted. I don't believe it's seaworthy right now. It may be, but I'm not aware of it. In the 11 plus years that I've been here, it's always been there, and never been dry docked or anything like that. So it certainly isn't ABS load lined.
We going to Henry Street or 4th Street?
Henry Street, and we're gonna have to. Obviously, there's nobody there, so we might have to put somebody on the dock.
Oh, I should be able to throw wings with you, but I need to get down there for the start line.
Very good. So anyway, right now they're just using it as a cement storage facility. So a barge will come in with like 10 or 12,000 tons of powdered cement and pump it off onto that, and then as they need it, they pump it into the big trailer trucks that take it off to the ready mix plants. So that's what's happening. Now, unfortunately, this is the channel in the radios that always seem to bleed through with non-maritime traffic. But it is what it is. All right, so now we're doing 6 knots. I've just reduced down to clutch to slow things down a little bit. This being a light barge and when these trunk barges, we call them trunk barges because if you notice, it's like a flat barge goes with a trunk that lifts up. It's almost a barge within a barge to make the double skin. You know that they all have to have enough. You know that if you had a grounding, you wouldn't puncture the tank, I should say. Okay, I'm going to take it right out of gear and kill some more energy. Unfortunately, we got 16 knots of wind blowing us off the dock. Doesn't look like there's any wind blowing, but that's what it's saying. 15, now it's down to 12 knots. So hopefully it will continue to drop as I get closer. But I can see that, I don't know, I guess I'm going all right. Felt like I was falling off the dock a little bit. So my plan is to come up to the dock and keep the way on, and then snap the bow over, pull the stern in, and hold it up till they get a line. Just because I got a feeling that the wind, once the barge is inside, the ship should block the wind from hitting the barge, but the wind's going to still hit the tug, the superstructure of the tug, and push the stern off. So that's why I want to stay over there as close as I can and keep the way on, because if I stop, I'll just start getting lateral movement away from the dock, which is not what I want. So now, as I'm approaching the dock, I'm kind of walking. It's not a true walk in that sense, but I'm pushing, I'm leaning over it that way. So in fact, I'm gonna just get it so I get tighter to the dock now. So I'm doing a right
Alright, Tim, we're
twist.
starting to come abreast of the catwalk.
Very good. How far off?
We're about 50 feet up.
Okay, very good. Now, from my perspective, it looks like I'm inside the catwalk and almost up to the dock. But that's why we have people up there, because they can see better than I can, and she's saying that I'm coming right up to the catwalk. So I've got a ways to go to get up to the dock. So I've slowed down to 1.3 when I was
Alright, you're
twisting
45
over there.
closing.
45 and closing, very good. So now I want to keep the way on and try to start squeezing over to the dock. So I'm moving my rudder between 0 and 20 degrees to port. If I go 0, it'll hold the bow over towards the starboard. If I go 20 degrees to port, the bow falls off and the stern comes over. And this whole time I'm coming ahead.
40 and closing.
40 and closing. So the whole time I'm coming ahead on the port engine and backing on the starboard engine, which would be the opposite of a twist. So I'm kind of squeezing it over, almost like a walk. And as you can see, the bow...
35, wide closing.
35. So I am closing a little bit on the bow, but I can see that the stern is coming way over. So as the stern comes over, the pivot point is in the middle of the bow of the barge. So by doing this, I hold the bow tight to the dock while I move the stern over. Now I'm going to reduce my backing engine, but keep the head engine the same. So I start moving up the dock. I've got about 100 feet I have to come up the dock.
To 25 closing.
25 and closing. Okay, so I'm going to give more rudder. Now I'm about 30 degrees to port to try to keep the bow from getting in too much more than 20 feet and get the stern to get more flat. Now the stern is in line with the end of the catwalk, but I got to get it at the end of the dock. Okay, now that it looks like the bow is coming out, so I'm going to bring the rudder back to 10 degrees to try to make sure that bow...
You're all steady at 25.
Okay, so I was worried that the bow... Very good. I was worried that the bow was falling off, but in fact it's just holding. So that means that the stern is really flying over there. So now I'm just going to try to steady everything up and just walk it over. It's almost flat right now. I'm moving ahead a little bit. So I've got about 25, 30 more feet to go.
Alright, 20 closing.
All right, and are we relatively flat? Like the stern is about 20 as well?
Stern, 25, 30.
25 or 30. All right, I'll bring the stern over a little more. Okay, now
Yeah, that's perfect. Now we're parallel to the dock.
Okay, I'm going to start reducing power because we're getting closer to the dock, and as I told you before, this dock is not fendered very well, so we want to land on the dock very
Ready,
flat.
set, closing on the bow.
All right, are we closer to flat?
Head wide all the way down, 30 feet wide, coming in now. We're gonna end up coming probably another 800 feet ahead.
Yeah, I'm right where I want to be back here. Will that work for you?
No, we're kind of right in between two bits to get a line. I mean, we can get something here. We just, anyway, we try to get over here to get a force strike.
Very good, I'll bring her over. Okay, so now I'm where I want to be, lined up at the end of the dock. So what I'm going to do is start squeezing it over by walking. So I'm going to start coming ahead on my port engine, backing on my starboard.
If we back it down a little as we come in here, we're coming in nice here. Anywhere around here, I'll pull this line out. We're pushing it.
Very good, I'll back it. Very good, I'll back down. So he wanted me to back up a little bit, and when I come up to the
Got
dock,
5 and closing.
5 and closing. So there we go. Now we're just about up
2
to the dock.
and closing.
2 feet off, so now we're slowing everything down. I'm all stopped, and we're not going any ahead or behind. Looks like it's just about ready to touch up, so nice. Now I hope that they can get a line, because you'll see us, we're going to start falling off because everything's going to be pushing us away. Okay, I see a line going out. I don't know if they got it or not. I'm setting my rudder up to starboard so I can pull the bow out. I can pull the bow back to the dock.
Okay, then we touched and then we bounced back. We're about 3 feet up.
All right, I'll bring the bow back. Okay, they're taking another line, throwing it back out. This is a very tough shot because you can see the bollards are inside, good, I don't know, 7-8 feet inside. The edge of the dock where the cement starts is recessed in as well. So it's a big shot. They have to get that big line and throw it. Now there's a third shot. What happens is if they don't do it in the first 3 shots, you run a risk of throwing your shoulder out or just running out of energy if you don't, even if you don't do anything. Are we getting closer?
You're holding there, Tim.
All right, I'll squeeze it over. All right, now there's another shot there. They keep throwing the line, which is wonderful, but I need to get over for them.
It looks like our stern's coming out and our bow's coming in.
Yep, that's to get the bow over, I have to bring the stern over, so that's kind of what I'm doing. There's stern out. How far off are we, Hope?
We're about a foot off the tire.
All right, cool. So there's a tire up there. I've been worried about hitting the cement. And we're getting onto a tire, which is just what I want to do, and we're a foot off of it. So right now I'm just doing an easy twist, trying to hold our position, because, say, the wind's going to blow us off all the time.
We're touching tire. Just got the first one.
Excellent. When he gets a chance, have him wrap that up, and we'll drive into it and lace her up. All right. So Dalton, being the super deckhand that he is, has continued to keep throwing the lines until he finally got it.
4 string fade off, coming into it now. Is that stern lined up okay?
Yes, perfectly. I'm going to slowly just make sure that if I come into that line, the bow doesn't go over, miss a tire, and jam into the concrete.
Yeah, we're good. We got a little bit of coverage on this tire here. Bow's open slightly. It should be good once we get flat coming into this.
All right, I just gave it a shot of stern just so I keep the bow off of that cement. All right, cool. I'm going to keep driving into this. Everything's cool back here. You guys tie her up. Good job. Good hustle. Right. Keep trying over and over again. That's a real tough shot.
My bow's coming in now. Touching up on the tire. Fast foot off the dock and holding it.
Very good. So it's a game of inches. All right, so as we're coming up to the dock, let me check out with traffic. Traffic from the Elk River.
All right, then we'll get tied up here.
Outstanding.
Elk River.
Hey, we're all secure over at Henry Street in Gowanus. You can check me out. Thank you so much. All right, and that's that. They're going to tie it up. Being a trunk barge, you're not really going to be able to see it because they're over the side of the barge. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I don't know how many of you stayed in for the whole thing. What do you have for a count on that? Good God, 1 hour and 35 minutes. Well, you wanted longer videos. Here they are. Hopefully you guys that didn't want longer videos figured out that you could fast forward and did that. But here we are. Thank you for watching. You guys be safe out there. If you get a chance, please do me a favor and go over and check out my other channel, SV Paquita. I'll try to put a link over here, and I'll put if that doesn't work or whatever, I'll put a link in the description. Special shout out to my patrons. Patrons are the people that make this channel happen. They're the people that like what they see and they want to support the project. They get on board, become a member of the Patreon crew, and for as little as $2 a month, they're helping out a good cause. You guys be safe out there, and as always, I'll see you on the one. Oh, and hopefully I'll see you at the other side of this big nor'easter that's coming. Anyway, you guys be good, and I'll see you on the one.